But I like to dance, I like to swing dance, I like to wear high heels, I like to tango dance, and I wanted to get back on my dancing groove. And so I wanted to go, and so I went to go see a doctor, and he's like, no, this isn't right. Like, he was just testing things with my senses, and he's like, no, you need to go to see a neurologist and stuff. And then I had the tests, which are an MRI and a spinal tap, which are what they confirm that you have MS. And I have lesions on my brain, just a couple. They're pretty cute too. They're not bad at all. Yeah, and one on my spinal cord. So 2 on my brain and 1 on the spinal cord the last time I knew. And but the doctors, they told me a lot about, you have to get on this Copaxone, or they gave me some choices. And the one that they told me that would be the best is the one that you take every day. So I started taking the shots every day, and they do give me welts. Like, they give almost everybody like a little welts and everything. But I was getting worse. Like, now I don't just have like something that makes me feel a little bit clumsy on the dance floor, but as time goes on, I'm getting this fatigue, like serious fatigue. And but I was so scared, you've got to keep taking these shots, because if you don't keep taking these shots, then he's going to end up in a wheelchair and blah, 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 because it's going to slow down the progression of attacks, and there's nothing that will slow down the progression of attacks. You're going to be getting these attacks. All we can do is slow it down. We have nothing to cure on death like that. And I was going to the best doctors, God bless their hearts. I mean, really, the best doctors, and not just in the community, but like some of the best doctors in the that's what I was being told, and it was scary for me that I was so fatigued I couldn't, like I would be falling asleep at my desk. I wasn't thinking too strong, but it was just definitely, it was just somebody doing diet soda and coffee. At least, I would drink a cup of coffee at 11:30 at night, and until 12. There was nothing keeping, I just needed it to just even keep my eyes open. And they tried putting me on other drugs to help with that too, and the drugs didn't help, like Provigil. They give that to fighter pilots, I guess, to keep them alert. I took really expensive drugs and all this, and nothing was helping. I was just getting sicker and sicker. And so I believe in my heart, maybe it was the MS. Some of these symptoms, like the anxiety attacks and stuff I had, I do now know from knowing about MS that it is very common to people with MS. Like, that was probably my MS setting in. But I think the combination of just these symptoms and the drugs, I believe in my heart they were just making me sicker. Because, like I said, all I had was a little dancing problem prior to taking the drugs. And then all of a sudden I started taking the drugs, and I'm having fatigue. And then I got off the drugs, and I started getting achy and honestly, it was so bad. I was taking 4 ibuprofen every day just to get going in the morning. Because I couldn't keep it going. I was so tired, and my body was just everything was honestly with me every day. So that was going on for years, and I was working on 2 years, I guess it was. And then I just, even as a girl, I just and I realized things were just spinning out of control. I fast my time. I'm 84. I was on my way to work, and just didn't walk away from my house. And incidentally, an aside, a priest friend of mine had put so much holy water on that car and blessed it for me. But yeah, it's true. But the bottom line is that then I just, I walked away from that, and I just started to pray, and I was upset because I went to go get my insurance and stuff, and well, you know what? I hadn't paid my insurance. I had not paid my insurance. So there's a $10,000 vehicle that I need to keep paying for 5 years. Everyone in my family, God love my family. I love my family. I'm the baby of 7. I'm 45. I'm still the baby of 7. And they have a lot of advice for me, and they love me, and they think that they know a lot of things. And it was difficult for me because they're like, I think you should go to that place, Patty. They thought that CHI was a little crazy. But worse than that, they think I'm a little crazy. You know, they're just like, well, really, you need to move back with your dad and say, and he's a chain smoker. God love my dad. He's the healthiest 81-year-old chain smoker that I know. And he is really sweet, and he can beat me at Scrabble still. So, but the thing of it is that like I knew that wouldn't be a healthy place for me because he is a compulsive eater too, and there's all kinds of junk food around and a lot of smoking. But my family's idea was I could move in with him, and then I could work at Macy's, and I could somehow pay off the $10,000. And I was like, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. So I ended up being in prayer over it, and I just got a clear vision to come to CHI. It's beautiful how it happened, and I ended up getting there, and I didn't know. I did not know that MS can be cured. I didn't know that people actually have had major, curings and healings from MS through the raw foods. I didn't know anything about raw food. The only thing I knew about raw food was that I had been a reporter at the Battle Creek Inquirer in the late 1990s, and Igor and Victoria Butinko, who were then not famous and who I had no idea had become raw famous because I wasn't following raw foods, but I had done a story about Igor's massage because I thought that was kind of cool, like Russian masseuse and podunk. I had podunk, and so I went there and I got like the best massage of my life, and I went back to the office. I was smiling for 3 weeks, and anyway, but that's another aside. Sorry, I'm a little tangential, but the bottom line is that Victoria, God love her, had given me Ann Wigmore's book, Why Suffer? And I didn't read it. I thought they were a little crazy. I thought they were sweet. I loved them. Actually, had them over and stuff for like a bonfire, and just loved to talk to them. But I didn't want to do the raw food thing. I thought, no. I liked the ice cream though. She did bring me. Yeah, I liked the ice cream. I was all about ice cream. But the rest of it, no. But anyway, but then like that was one of the things when I was in this period of prayer was I found that book, and it was had been like 15 years earlier or something that Victoria had given me this book, and I was like, well maybe because what God had given me in my mind that my family wasn't responding to was put health before economics. Because ever since I had lost my job, I had just been like a hamster spinning on a wheel, trying to get back on my feet financially in a recession when the career path that I had done, the only thing I really knew how to do, ask Bobby, I'm a terrible secretary, really bad. The only thing I knew how to do was now gone, and like I couldn't make a living anymore, and plus I'm having these health issues, and I have no health insurance again because I lost the job at the church because, like I said, I wasn't a good secretary. I mean, even the church wouldn't have it. I know. So then, God bless Bobby, and God bless Victoria Butinko and Andrew for writing the book, and for giving the book, and for him having CHI there, and for me getting to go, because it was wonderful. It was a miracle. My life is transformed. I'm better than I was before. I think maybe not quite better than before, because I was pretty tough. I mean, I was racing sailboats. But just because my life has been so hectic, I haven't had the leisure time to do all that. But really, I feel better because I don't have the anxiety attacks. I don't have any anxiety attacks. I haven't had a single anxiety attack since going raw. I don't have the fatigue, no fatigue. I was telling Bobby last night I was sitting up with Lori and Diane, who are both very healthy. They've been doing raw for a long time. And they were like saying they're tired, and I had just worked like 12 hours or something, and I'm like, shit.
Don't tell them they have to work out.
You don't have to. Yes, you do. But it's fun. I mean, it's fun because we talk a lot while we work, right? So, and we eat a lot too. No, that's another thing. Like I had lost, I lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. And, what?
I look forward to shopping your pictures.
Yeah. That was so funny because I had gained the weight suddenly, like at the end of my rope, like right before I decided to come here. I had suddenly gained 50 pounds in 6 months because I tried to become an Aflac saleswoman. God love Aflac. I don't sales either. No secretarial, no sales. 100% commission, right? you know? No, I don't have any warm market. Like I don't have like people that have businesses. It just wasn't working, and I kept trying to make it work, and you know, it wasn't working. And I can be that way. I can dig in and think I'm going to make something work. And I was doing it, and I was stressing myself out. And I just adopted the $1 menu meal because it's what I could afford. It's like that movie Super Size Me, except that there was no like supersizing. I was just eating off the $1 menu, the chicken things, and then the oatmeal cookies, pretty much what I lived on, and Kraft macaroni and cheese. But this is what I looked like for, you know, maybe before that. So I didn't expect hard work. And so I was like, I had one thing I wanted to get back on. And I woke up and with my red Mary Janes, thinking I would retire them forever and never be able to wear those red Mary Janes again. And then the pictures came back, and I was sad. I don't know if you've ever had that happen. I thought he looks good. I mean, I was being all sexy on the piano, and like, gosh, like there's all this weight. But it was a great moment. Like, who wouldn't want a picture of themselves in their red Mary Janes and on a piano in the cornfield, right? So luckily there is Photoshop, and I was able to like take out. So I never, like, people see me now and they're saying, you look so good, you've lost so much weight. Like, people who haven't seen me since last fall, and like, you know, because I never really quite accepted that part of it. But anyway, I'll wrap it up here. I like to talk a lot, but the bottom line is that today I have the fatigue. I only take ibuprofen, 2 of them if I'm menstruating. That's the only time. And, you know, sometimes I've even made it through without. I have completely regular periods, incidentally, which is nice. And I had no anxiety. The worst thing that scared me the most was, in addition to the fatigue and the aching pain, I called what I used to have, I was getting them about 5 times a week, what I call brain freezes, to where it was related to the fatigue. It's like if I tried to push through and keep working, which I did, I would get like, I felt like, you know how when you get Novocaine if you're going to the dentist? That's what my brain felt like. Literally, my brain would feel like that, and it's like I couldn't push through, and my upper lip would feel like that. And it was terrifying to me. It was terrifying, and I was having that happen 5 times a week, and it doesn't happen now. So it doesn't happen now. Nothing like that happens. No pain, no fatigue, no brain freezes, and still a little comes in the side, but I can dance, so.
She's a teacher, and she's a terrible secretary. That's why she teaches. Just 5 more minutes. 5 minutes.
My name is Linda Gooden, and I'm from Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And I took care of my mom for 10 years, just about, 24/7, and she passed away in November. And I found myself completely out of energy, just flat out on the couch.
Oh. And she now tells me if it was anybody else, she would have called an ambulance. And I'm so grateful that she didn't, because I wouldn't have wanted to go anywhere. But I immediately changed my diet. I immediately began to exercise, and it was dropping a little, but not enough. And I was still, I had a little more energy, but not a lot. And so I knew that I needed a complete overhaul of my system. I knew just another vitamin or another herbal supplement wasn't going to be enough. And I couldn't say that I was a diabetic. Even though 10 years before that, my sister and I had been to a health fair. We both had tested high for blood sugar. She went to her NDs and put her on medication. I went to my naturopath who said lose weight. So, I got serious about it for a while. Then I'd slip, and then I'd get serious, and then I'd slip, and my wife would die. Anyways, but I never admitted to myself that I was diabetic or treated it in any kind of way. When I found myself in this horizontal position in January, I figured I had to do something more and something drastic. And some friends of mine had been to some place in Alabama about 20 years ago, and they had taken a look at their life and their diseases and how they live, and they gave them a whole program to work from. They taught them how to cook different foods, and they really went for a natural approach, and they loved it. So I first started out looking to see if this place was still in operation and if I could go there. And in the process of asking around about that, Lord led me to someone who knew about creative health. And she hadn't been here herself, but she knew of 2 people who had and had been very pleased. So I started talking about it. And I started talking to Lori, and I kept on talking to my sister, who kept saying, I think you should go there. And I wanted her to come with me because then it would be cheaper. She said, let's see how it works for you first.
Alfalfa sprout, a mung bean sprout, a red clover sprout, any kind of sprout, broccoli sprout, whatever you're sprouting, it comes out at 600 atmospheres. Every sprout. That's why if I look out there and I can see them coming up through the cement out there.
Yeah.
They will break through everything.
Yeah.
You are taking the highest vibrational food in the world when you're taking a sprout. Sprout something today. If you don't know how, I'll go on the website. I'm not trying to sell my website. I just want you to go on it. We don't sell anything, by the way, and it's all free. This information is free. You don't have to join or anything. Go on and look at our sprouting chart. Get on there and sprout some things today. Go sprout some food. Real food, living food. And it's so easy. There's no reason for hunger and starvation today. So when I lived in Africa for several years, and when I was in Africa, I fed about 2,000 children a day. I had 6 medical clinics over there I was running. And I came back from Africa, and I was, oh man, I could never get enough food for the people. We used to feed them ugali, which is made from corn, maize, and we'd feed them beans, sukumawiki greens. And I used to have these giant pots made down in Nairobi. They were like huge pots and big open fires with charcoal and cook this stuff. But I never had enough. Never got enough energy to many children. Some died in my arms. They're pretty passionate about that. I saw it. But I came back and I thought, man, what am I going to do? And I could never quite figure out what to do. And I was laying with cancer. In my hospital bed, they'd given up on me. I was in hospice at home. Okay? And I had a dream. I got to share this dream with you. Because it has to do with living food. I don't know if I was in the body or out of the body when I had the dream. But it was a dream. But I dreamed, and I came up above the earth. And as I looked down upon the earth, it was blue planet. Outer space out there is black, and the stars are shining over the earth. And then it started magnifying. Boom, 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 coming closer, closer, closer. And then I looked down on the continents, and I could see shiny glass houses, green houses, stretched for tens of thousands of miles across every continent, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They were line after line in Europe and in Africa, in the Middle East, in the Far East, in the U.S. There were greenhouses everywhere. And then it magnified up a little closer to me. And I actually looked in, and you know what I saw? I saw people in wheelchairs and people pushing them. And they were going into the greenhouses. They were going into the greenhouses. And it magnified up again, and I was inside the greenhouse, and I was looking at them. I was up in the top of the greenhouse looking down on them. It makes me want to cry inside when I see it. And they weren't picking the food. You know what they were doing? They were pulling it over, and they're eating tomatoes right on the vine. They were picking apples, not picking, but eating apples right there. Why? Because it was so close to the source of life itself. So close. I want you to get as close as you can get every day. The closer you get, the reason we sprout, you come to Creative Health Institute, we have a whole room of nothing, this whole wall is nothing but sprouts, jars of sprouts running up and down. All through the place, because we put it 6 cups a day in people's food. 6 cups a day, the average person gets of living sprouts, whether it be alfalfa, mung bean, red clover, broccoli sprouts, you name it, fenugreek. They got liver problems, boom, they get the fenugreek, don't get hiawatha. We're going to make sure they get what they need so that they can what? Live. And see, you don't have to wait till you get cancer like me. See, I was a hard nut. I was a hard nut. You know, I used to work out, pump iron, do all the stuff, football, the whole thing, and I thought it was a hard nut, and I didn't get it. I supplemented myself to that. I had the best supplements in the world. Any supplement I wanted, I took them all. I got cancer because I wasn't getting what? Oxygen. I wasn't getting oxygen. I was falling apart. I had to get oxygen in my body. Couldn't just get it running down the street. I had to get it at a cellular level. And see, that's what we're missing. Get that in the culture of life. We get the oxygen in us, and things change. We get the enzymes in us, and things change magnificently because the enzymes tell vitamin A where to go, vitamin B, vitamin C, this mineral, zinc, get here. Whatever it says, everybody tells what those are. Without those, you're just kind of lost. Did you know when you eat cooked food, you get a response? The response you get is a rise in your white blood cell count every time. You all know that? I've got to give you the science. Every time you get a what? What does that show us?
Immune system.
That's right. We are now seeing we're allergic. We're naturally allergic. That tells you something. What were we really created to eat mostly?